right, so the first thing I did is I took off this leading edge, and it was only about, I don't know, 10 screws underneath here. This exposed this whole area, so it was easy for me to put my hand in here and push the old headliner out of here. So, and then just had to take off a few things. I think I'm gonna remove the windshield here so I can get access to this bar up here. It looks like that's fabric. I don't know, I'll have to take that out. I think maybe the upper fabric is wrapped around this bar. I bet that's what's going on here, and then glue was used. I might just try to paint that because I don't know. I think I'm gonna go without a headliner, but I don't know. We'll see what it comes of it. So I took the leading edge off, and here's this wire, just here, not hooked up to anything. What would that go to? All right, so here's the progress I made so far. Just took a few screws out of the dome light here. I saw the original speaker still up there in its blown state, and these two wires were connected to the dome light, and the actual light bulb in there still is there, and the switch was stuck, so I got it unstuck. So I'm going to see if that light actually works or not. And then had to take this down, the tail adjustment trim knob. Took that off of there, and it was safety wired. So here's the actual knob, and you can see the safety wire that had to be cut. And then you pull the safety wire out, and there's just a little trim tab, just a little pipe that goes through there that holds that on. And so that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple, really. Here's the dome light. This switch right here, I don't know if it needs to be replaced or something, but it's super hard to switch that switch, and it almost doesn't even go. And there was the light bulb, and that light bulb is I have it right there. So there's that, and you can see it's a GE89, and it has one contact on the bottom. And so that's everything that was in there. It's completely original. All right, so I have this out. There was a little tab. This sucker right here was hanging down into the marker, so you know where your trim's at. That was pretty tough to get out. I ended up kind of forcing it a little bit. I'm not sure I should have done that, but that's what I did, and that's the result right there. It's kind of sitting up in there a little crooked, and this I think is just gonna fall out. Yeah, it's just sitting in the headliner. Okay, so there's the top of that, the trim part. So that comes with that too. And there you can see the pulleys and everything in here. And insulation is just kind of seen better days. It's kind of gotten in the way, and that's kind of what I suspected, because I heard a lot of rustling around up here when I was turning the trim tab. So the reason I'm doing this is because the plane had a fuel leak at one time. Fuel got into the headliner. It's making it stink, and in addition to that, it just looks bad. People get in my plane and they think that it's going to catch on fire because there's fuel stains all over the headliner, and that is the case back here too. So headliner's coming out. There is no fuel leak in the plane currently. That's been addressed and fixed, but the stain is there, and that's enough for me to do something about it. All right, so the right side of the plane, this was equally easy to get off, just a few screws, and came right open. And again, I just put my hand right in here and pushed out and dislodged the glue and stuff from the fabric. Well, yeah, that top is fabric, and it was just glued in there around those around this little spot right here. So that's where it was all glued in. And again, the outside fabric you can see glued to that front piece right there. So that stays intact. And next will be the windshield coming out. I did get that light off, and I was pretty satisfied with that. And it wasn't too difficult. I actually decided to cut the fabric so I wouldn't have to cut that wire or undo that wire. I'm not really sure how that light is hooked up exactly, because the wire just runs straight in there to the element. So I left it connected and chose to just cut the headliner, since the headliner's it's not going back in there. You can see some more fabric, just kind of done this from the original fabric from way back when right there. That's pretty gnarly in there. So that's that. All right, so this channel right here is coming out. I took all the screws out of it, and up on the other side you see the fabric is tucked up underneath it. So all the screws are out, but it's not coming down. Well, I guess it's coming down barely. Oh, something else is holding it in there. Okay, apparently it's just this little foam. This foam is glued, and there's glue that's pretty tacky that's holding this channel in there. All right, it's out. That's all there is to it. So that's gone, and you can see the fabric. It's got a little bit of red stain. I noticed that on the outside of it too. A little bit of this red color stain on the outside of the wing there. So that's what the inside of it looks like. All right, it's the next morning, so here's an update on my progress. I got the first part of it out. It took a couple of, this is actually in two pieces. This second one right here, which goes here, and it comes up in front of the dome light and the speaker. So I was able to get those off. I did end up cutting the wire for the speaker, which is the white wire, and this other wire, and that runs along this here, and then the dome lights are that one right there. And then the headliner right here, you can see drooping down here. I'm going to cut that and take the next support arch off. I left this arch in there. There's a couple of safety wires hooked up to the tubes, and I come back and cut those out later. But it was obvious that this has been wet. It's moldy up here on the top part, and I'll show you the speaker. The speaker that came out of it was blown, so just completely cracked. It's a pretty good size. Definitely the original deal, you know. And then behind it, this is the wood that everything goes mounted in. Obviously, need to cut a new piece of wood because this was delaminating. It looks like it's been wet, so that's a little suspect right there, but that's what things look like right now. All right, so I've got things off enough to where you can see that I've got the fuel line right here, and you can see how we've got, it's pretty nice in there. I mean, they've obviously recently done that, but I'm curious, you know, if the fuel line's here, how in the world did the stain end up as bad as it is back here? That's, I don't know if there's another fuel line that's further back. Is this the front fuel line? It very well may be, because I know there's two. But if that's from the front one, there's one that comes from the back, I don't know. But I'm gonna keep pulling this down. I did decide to take off, there's like a black trim piece here, because that was kind of just overlapping this headliner. And I took it off over here as well. And this one actually wrapped all the way around and kind of went snug into the window. And you can see that there's the fuel line. This is the fuel line right here. And there it is up there from the other tank. And I'll show you this window. Sorry about my bad video. All right, so it's kind of snug and it wraps around, right? And it goes in there. And this screw was in this outside trim piece, and the interior trim piece wasn't even pushed all the way in. So that screw wasn't even, that interior trim piece wasn't even screwed in. So it just keeps, it'll be better after I'm done with it. All right, I reached a point where I'm not sure what to do, because this window here, this is the original headliner. And you can see it's wrapped around this steel rod right here. And so I'm not sure how how to approach this, because I mean, that's the outside of the airplane. That's where the fabric is also glued on, which you can see the fabric right there. And so my question is the fabric going to have to be redone on the outside of the airplane while I do the headliner here? Because the headliner and the fabric are, I mean, they're essentially touching each other at this point. They're both glued in the same seam. So how does that work?